wanted to start with some questioning related to the tense we're using in terms of past tense or current regarding the targeting of specific political groups.
Yes.
Most of this hearing has been about the actions that have occurred, the audits that were put in place, the delays, the obstruction that was put in place for groups of Americans that essentially wanted to exercise their First Amendment rights. How many Americans, how many groups of Americans continue to have their applications delayed? How many groups continue to be held under unjust, unconstitutional scrutiny by the IRS as of today?
It's a question that I want the answer to as well. And what we're doing is initiating as quickly and as efficiently as possible a review of the IRS across the entire IRS to see if there's any common elements of impartiality in other parts that occurred in this particular area.
But not just in other parts. How many groups have applied for 501c4 status, some of which in the Inspector General's report had been over 2 years, now over 3 years, had applied, that are still at the IRS today waiting to have their applications approved or denied, or at least some answer? Now, I know you've been on there 12 days, but over the past weeks, as this has come about and become acknowledged, and frankly, since IRS officials were alerted to this over a year ago, many of these groups continue to have their applications denied. And so we talk about this today in this hearing here in Washington, D.C., as if this is something that has occurred and we're going to investigate and we'll hold those who did this accountable. But, sir, your agency, the IRS, continues today to deny and block the constitutional rights of Americans as we sit here, this very moment. How many Americans are having their constitutional rights blocked as of this afternoon?
Well, I don't know that a conclusion has been raised on constitutional rights. I think there is a legal review being undertaken by the Justice Department. But to give you an answer to your question, there are 132 cases that are in this grouping of potential political advocacy that referenced in the IG report. 132 cases in that grouping that have not been acted upon in over 120 days, which by IRS definition is overdue. And as I said earlier, I have directed new leadership that's heading exempt organizations, TEGE, and our new Chief Risk Officer, David Fisher, who comes from GAO. I've directed them to submit to me by the end of this week, and I will share that with you, a plan with specific milestones for how we're going to knock out that backlog quickly and effectively.
You mentioned 120 days. How many of these groups have been in application process for more than 2 years?
It's a number I don't have at my fingertips, but there are groups, and it's unacceptable.
Well, it seems like if there's 132, that would be something we could simply identify. Is that something
Yes.
you can provide for the committee today?
Absolutely.
Okay, you can do that by close of business today to inform us how many groups are waiting over 2 years to have their applications approved.
Yeah, I think we have that data, and we can provide it to you.
Mr. Inspector, do you have any information relevant to this?
I do, sir, but it's somewhat dated because it's as of the end of our audit. And so as of December 17th of last year, of the 296 cases that we identified in that political category, 160, which is roughly 54%, were open from 206 to 1,138 calendar days. And then 129 of the 160 open cases had been open for more than 1 year as of December of 2012.
Commissioner Werfel, one of the reasons this is such an important topic to this committee in particular is because these questions were asked of then Commissioner Schulman in March of 2012. And he assured the committee at that time that there were built-in safeguards, there was a culture and tone at the top, and people knew it would not be tolerated. Today we're having opportunity to go through this same experience, but going forward, we want to know that the positions you take today, that the statements we make are accurate and they're based upon fact. Clearly, Mr. Schulman did not know, either misled the committee or knew it and didn't tell the committee the truth, but either way, the facts were not presented to the committee to that day. We've heard there have been at least comments made that the audit division could potentially be engaging in similar practices. Do you have any awareness or any reason to believe, and can you investigate whether the audit division has targeted individuals specifically for audits based upon donations or engagement in conservative political activities or any political activities?
Let me answer that directly. I'm not aware of any such behavior. I've initiated a review to answer that very question. And if I find anything that is similar in scope to what is in this Inspector General report, I will make you aware.
Inspector, did you find anything related to this in your review?
We have not conducted a review in this area, Congressman.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mrs.